So she basically said she is standing over Caitlin Clark shit-talking her right now.
It looks like she punched Caitlin Clark in the back. That's my opinion. That's what I see.
This is not funny. Like, they literally assaulted Caitlin that night. And Sue Bird sitting there laughing and giggling about it. And Tina Charles is sitting there laughing and giggling about it.
Oh my God, look at that picture. They think this picture is funny.
The internet is fuming.
Insert pictures here. I sent you these pictures after, the big, the scrum? Connecticut Sun versus Indiana Fever.
They're sitting here laughing.
A podcast clip just surfaced showing Sue Bird and Tina Charles laughing and mocking Caitlin Clark's injury like it was some kind of joke.
Can you imagine? It's my understanding she gets something in the neighborhood of around $100,000 for every appearance that she makes.
Fans didn't just notice, they erupted. Comment sections flooded with outrage, and one message said it best. CC 100%. We ride with her, no matter what.
I would have never thought Tina Charles, because I never heard her speak. I would have never thought she sounded like a New York, like literally a Z-list New York rapper.
While Caitlin was on the floor holding her eye, these two were cracking jokes, smiling for the camera. This isn't just trash talk, it's a disgrace. And now the backlash is real.
And listen, Tina Charles, she's the player, and, whatever. But Sue, you part of the media, man. You've chastised people about their coverage of the post-Caitlin Clark WNBA.
What was supposed to be just another podcast episode quickly turned into one of the most talked about WNBA controversies of the season. When Sue Bird brought Tina Charles onto her show, fans weren't expecting what they saw next. Two veteran voices of the league laughing, cracking jokes, and mocking a moment that left Caitlin Clark shaken and injured on the court.
You've wagged your finger at people. Here you are laughing about Caitlin getting poked in the eye, shoved to the ground, blindsided, and Tina Charles standing over her talking trash to her while she's on the ground. I wonder if you would do this.
The moment came up when they started discussing the physical altercation between Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun, a game that had already gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But instead of addressing it with professionalism or even empathy, they decided to make it entertainment.
Clark is literally holding her eye after she got poked in it, and you see Tina Charles right there with her hand approaching her. They think this shit is funny.
Tina Charles described the play with a grin on her face, claiming, "Yo, it wasn't me," while laughing about the viral moment of Caitlin Clark getting knocked down after being poked in the eye and blindsided.
Insert pictures here. I sent you these pictures after, the big, the scrum? Connecticut Sun versus Indiana Fever.
Sue Bird, sitting across from her, couldn't stop giggling either. They weren't breaking it down. They weren't offering insight. They were mocking it.
Everyone that's been in these sports scuffles knows. Like, look, you don't have to be a fighter to get in someone's face on a sports field.
Viewers heard them say things like, "Marina gonna Marina," followed by Tina standing over Caitlin talking trash while she was still down. And then the kicker. They all start laughing about taking Caitlin back to Southside Jamaica.
I'm like, she's already been knocked on her ass. You've already been like, yeah, I didn't do that. And look, you even know in that situation where it's like, there's a difference between standing up for your teammates and blindsiding them.
This was after Caitlin was already holding her eye, clearly in pain and visibly rattled.
Got a feeling CC will decline a 2028 Team USA offers if she's even in this garbage league by then.
The reaction from fans was immediate and furious. People weren't just angry at the disrespect.
They're sitting here laughing. Oh my God, look at that picture. They think this picture is funny.
They were disgusted by the glee these two showed while reliving a violent play. One comment that spread like wildfire read, "So this is funny now? Laughing at a rookie being injured? CC 100%. She deserves better."
Let's look at one more time. Right there. Right there. Y'all think this is so cute. How about this? What's this? I never saw this when all this happened. I never saw this angle. Looks to me like she grabbed a handful of Caitlin Clark's hair.
Screenshots of Tina's clenched fist, freeze frames showing her arm making contact, and angles of Caitlin being surrounded by Mabry, Sheldon, and Charles flooded social media. It wasn't just one bad angle or a moment taken out of context. This was a situation where Caitlin Clark was physically hit and mentally humiliated, and then laughed at publicly by two women who should have known better.
What are you laughing at? You're the laughing stock of the WNBA this season. Why are you up here laughing? You're from Jamaica, Queens. That's disgusting.
Tina tried to downplay it, saying she didn't actually punch Caitlin and that things just looked bad on camera. But even if the punch is debatable, the intent wasn't. She admitted to talking trash while Caitlin was still on the ground. She stood over her and delivered a message. Not support, not sportsmanship, but intimidation. And Sue? She just laughed right along. No pushback, no clarification, just complicity.
You guys are idiots, and I am so fucking glad that a lot of you old dinosaurs are getting the fuck out this game. Seriously, let's get to the bag now. Olivia Miles is coming, Hannah's coming, Juju's coming. Let's get some real ballers up in this motherfucker now.
For fans, this wasn't about defending one play. It was about the blatant disrespect for the one player who's done more for the WNBA's visibility and popularity than anyone in years. Caitlin Clark brought millions of eyes to this league, and now as she gets knocked down and mocked for it, those same eyes are watching, and they're not laughing.
She 100% did connect on when she was doing that to her. She kind of half connected with this, but the thing was not a punch in the back. Let's be real. Let's be real. You can freeze frame anything. But like, everyone being like, Tina Charles is innocent. Tina Charles shouldn't have had any technical fouls. And I'm like, if the ref is right there and she is standing over a person who's just been blindsided.
If there's one thing that has become painfully obvious in this entire situation, it's the blatant double standard in how Caitlin Clark is treated versus everyone else in the league. What Sue Bird and Tina Charles did on that podcast wasn't just casual laughter. It exposed an ugly truth. If this incident had happened to anyone other than Caitlin, especially a veteran or a fan favorite, the reaction would have been completely different.
I will tell you something that sends a shiver of fear down my spine when it comes to Sue Bird now. And we thought this was a good thing. Can't take the old WNBA guard out of the old WNBA guard, right?
They wouldn't be joking about it. They wouldn't be replaying the moment for laughs. There would be outrage, demands for accountability, and a league-wide conversation about respect and safety. But when it's Caitlin Clark, it becomes comedy. Sue Bird has a long history of calling out media narratives and demanding fairness in coverage.
Shout out to Jamaican Queens, all my families out there. That's literally disgusting that's where you're from. Anyway, I personally think this is trash. This is disgusting. Sue Bird, you ought to be a fucking shame to yourself because I've literally seen you kiss Caitlin Clark's ass and prop her up. Now you're up here laughing, saying it was funny. You're damn near about to break your neck laughing because you need these clicks and these views so bad.
Especially when it comes to how women, and particularly black players, are portrayed. But this time, nothing. No defense, no balanced commentary. She sat there, laughed, and let her guest, Tina Charles, relive the moment of Caitlin being blindsided and then mocked her for it.
Sue, no one talks about racism when basketball is the conversation more than you. You're the queen of not talking about basketball when basketball is the topic. Talk about projection. You literally pull race into every basketball conversation. You're absolutely.
There was no mention of how serious the injury was, no acknowledgement of Caitlin's vulnerability, and certainly no empathy. It was pure mockery dressed up as banter, and fans noticed. What makes it worse is Sue Bird's reputation. She's been seen as one of the more level-headed voices in the WNBA. Even Caitlin Clark fans have respected her, until now. After this clip went viral, comments flooded in calling her out. Lost all respect for Sue Bird. Hypocrite. She laughs when Caitlin gets hurt, but would be furious if this happened to one of her own. Others pointed out how Sue has been quick to defend other players' emotions, struggles, and even mental health.
I would have loved to have been valued as a basketball player. I would have been loved to have been spoken about just for my play. Mm-hmm. I think everybody in the league can say that. Mm-hmm. But nobody ever let us do that. So what happened? We started to build a backbone.
But when it came to Caitlin Clark, all of that vanished. Why the selective grace? And then there's Tina Charles, who attempted to paint herself as misunderstood. She tried to spin the narrative saying, people are freezing the wrong frame, and that it wasn't a real punch. But even if you give her that,
we'll look at some pictures in a minute, but I can see why you didn't include them, because y'all ain't gonna be able to get such a big kick.
if you believe she didn't mean to connect, what can't be excused is her standing over a downed player, talking trash, and then laughing about it in public later. That's not leadership. That's not heat of the moment sportsmanship. That's bullying, plain and simple.
There's a big difference between standing up for your teammate and seeing your opponent getting blindsided and standing over them talking shit to them.
The double standard is especially glaring when you consider how players like Sophie Cunningham or even J.C. Sheldon are treated when they're the ones involved in hard fouls.
She's the managing director, and that's not going to change. I can tell you right now.
But insert pictures here. I sent you these pictures after, the big, the scrum, Connecticut Sun.
That's the pictures you show? That's it.
The league, the media, even fellow players go after them. But when it's Marina Mabrey or Tina Charles, players clearly involved in escalating things with Caitlin, everyone shrugs it off. Oh, that's just Marina being Marina.
Sorry, Sophie Cunningham, maybe not. Kat Copper might fight somebody. Liz Thomas might fight somebody. But she's essentially said she has stood over Caitlin Clark shit-talking her right now.
Really? So when Sophie Cunningham responds with half the aggression, she's a villain. But when Mabrey blindsides someone, it's brushed off with a smirk. And let's not forget the optics. Caitlin Clark is a 23-year-old rookie. She's new to the league. She's playing through injuries.
You see this comment, hugely disappointed and lost all respect for both Sue Bird and Tina Charles. How is this okay? ? Caitlin, don't play in the Olympics if Sue has anything to do with it. Was she going to have everything to do with it?
She's doing media. She's carrying her franchise. And yet she's the one being ganged up on by veterans who should be mentoring her. Instead, they're mocking her on camera for clicks and laughs. The same people who preach sisterhood and protect women athletes are now the ones tearing her down, and doing it proudly.
2028 is an eternity from 2025. She'll also have banked over $100 million by then. I'd walk at 28 with $100 million.
Sue and Tina sent a clear message on that podcast, even if they didn't say it outright. Some players get protection and some don't. And Caitlin Clark, despite everything she's done for the game, is still not one of them. But fans are watching. The internet doesn't forget. And this time, the hypocrisy isn't slipping through the cracks. It's on full display.
And there's finally someone here who can actually generate money for female basketball. And y'all are jealous and envious because y'all played all this time. You see all this money coming in now.
This wasn't just another physical play in a competitive game. Caitlin Clark's injury during the Connecticut Sun matchup marked a turning point. And what followed revealed something even more concerning than the hit itself: the silence. No genuine concern, no real support, not from the league, not from her coach, and definitely not from her teammates.
With the new school, starting with Caitlin Clark, who kicked the door down. Her and injuries, but let's be real here. We're going to keep it real. It's Clark. Reese is balling right now, though. Reese is balling right now. But Clark kicked that door down. And y'all are envious, and y'all are jealous, and y'all wish
Let's
y'all
start with the injury itself.
She did.
In that game, Clark was poked in the eye, blindsided, and hit hard by a combination of players, Marina Mabrey and J.C. Sheldon being front and center. Tina Charles, who was also nearby, may not have delivered the initial contact, but the freeze frames don't lie. She made physical contact and, more importantly, stood over Caitlin while she was on the floor, talking trash.
Stu Bird, you're about what? Damn near 50, damn near senior citizen. Yeah. Teeth about to fall out your mouth. Yeah. And you're up here laughing at a 23-year-old who got poked in the eye and surrounded. Would it have been funny if that was you? Tina Charles, would it have been funny if that was you? Let's keep it all the way real here.
Whether or not it was a closed fist to the back, the intent was clear. The disrespect was undeniable. But the deeper problem wasn't just the hit, it was the aftermath. Caitlin was visibly hurt, grabbing her face, stunned and down on the court. And where was the help? Where were the Fever teammates rushing to her side? The only one seen stepping in with emotion was Lexi Hull, screaming in defense of Clark. Natasha Howard? She stood there watching, silent. The same Natasha who went on Sue Bird's podcast just weeks earlier, claiming Caitlin was like her little sister.
You see this comment, hugely disappointed and lost all respect for both Sue Bird and Tina Charles. How is this okay? ? Caitlin, don't play in the Olympics if Sue has anything to do with it. Was she going to have everything to do with it?
Really? Because when your so-called sister gets shoved and poked in the eye, you don't just stand around, you react, you protect. But that didn't happen. Even more shocking is how that injury altered Caitlin's momentum. Prior to that game, despite playing through a nagging quad injury, she was performing well. Shooting percentages were solid, over 50% from the field, lighting it up from three. But immediately after that brutal Connecticut matchup, the numbers dipped. Shooting slumps began.
Because I can tell you right now, with Caitlin Clark fans, there's going to be a tipping point where it goes to the other direction. And that other direction is, bleep this league, we're out.
She sat out multiple games. The injury wasn't just physical, it shook her rhythm. And yet people, fans, analysts, even some former players, started using that slump as an excuse to discredit her. Commentators were quick to label her overrated or say she can't shoot, but they ignored the bigger picture. She was hurt. She was unprotected. She was expected to carry the team while being targeted night after night, and still no one said a word.
You know, sometimes it's hard to admit this, but I know when I was coming out of college into the pro life, it was a little bit of shut up and dribble. Yep. It was a little bit of, for women, be thankful you even have a job. Yep. Don't rock the boat too much. And I think younger generations, they want more. So that's a part of it. And I also think society, in a sense, has finally caught up.
And then comes the podcast, the final slap in the face. Sue Bird and Tina Charles not only refused to acknowledge the injury's seriousness, but chose to laugh about it. They made a joke out of Caitlin's pain. Tina literally reenacted the moment, shrugged off the hit, and then proudly said she stood over Caitlin while talking trash. Sue, instead of stepping in or offering context, laughed right along. They even joked that the moment reminded them of Southside Jamaica, turning what should have been a concern for player safety into street fight theater.
And now we have the newest one. We have Sue Bird. Yes, Sue Bird, the 5-time Olympian gold medalist, the 4-time WNBA champion Sue Bird. I've seen this girl praise Caitlin Clark. I've seen this girl.
And this is the same Sue Bird who fans once trusted to protect the integrity of the game? The same Tina Charles who wants to be seen as a leader in women's basketball?
Semi throws shade at Caitlin Clark. But this one kind of takes the cake. See, here's my thing about it. I don't like Cheryl Swoop for the way she talks about Caitlin Clark. She has no problem lying on these podcasts and whatnot. However, you don't got to guess, does she like Caitlin Clark? She don't like her, and that's just what it is. I can respect that.
It's embarrassing. And fans aren't letting it slide. Because beyond the podcast clip, what hurts most is that Caitlin was left alone by her team, by her league, and by the very people who should have protected her. She wasn't just knocked down physically. She was knocked down symbolically. And now, even after that, she's the one being laughed at on national podcasts by players who built the league on unity and respect. But fans see it. They see the pattern. The injury was real. The silence was real. And the betrayal? That's what hurts the most. Because if Caitlin Clark, after everything she's done for the league, can be treated this way, then who's next?
Funny.
I feel like it was like the perfect depiction of New York at the start. Because you were like, no, no, no.
Yeah, I was like, yo.
You had your finger, yeah.
And then what's crazy is everybody's like, yo, you punched it in the back. And I'm like, nah, I was just like.
I know, so that's the
yo,
funny part.
You got it.
Clip number one, or yeah, slide number one. Tina going, yo.
This wasn't just about a podcast clip or a single play. It was a public display of everything that's wrong with how Caitlin Clark is being treated. A 23-year-old rookie who's brought record-breaking ratings, packed arenas, and new life into the WNBA is being mocked, hit, and laughed at while injured by veterans who should be lifting her up, not tearing her down. Sue Bird and Tina Charles didn't just lose respect in the eyes of fans. They exposed the jealousy, the pettiness, and the cracks in a league that claims to stand for unity and empowerment. And now the fans are done being silent. They've had enough. Enough of the disrespect. Enough of the fake support. Enough of the blind eye to what's really going on. Because this isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about integrity, leadership, and the future of the sport. One fan said it best, CC 100%. We ride with her, no matter what. And judging by the backlash, millions feel the same. The WNBA has a choice to make. Either protect the player who's keeping your league alive, or keep letting bitterness and backroom politics push fans away. Because one thing's clear, Caitlin Clark deserves better, and the world is watching.